Hey everybody, it's Chase again with AVA Pop Culture, and tonight I'm going to jump on the bandwagon. I am going to become more part of this community here on YouTube and around the world, and I am going to take on the Rad Pack's Rad 9 challenge of the 9 movies that made me. I know I'm a few months late to the party, but what the hell? Let's do it anyway. All right, pop in that tape. Let's get to it. All right, so 9 movies that made me. I'm probably going to cheat and modify this just a little bit because there's no way I can cut it to 9. A little bit about me: I am an '80s kid, and I grew up in a lot of my time in rural Georgia, about an hour outside of Atlanta, and I would spend long stretches on my great grandparents' farm. And when we weren't there, me and my brother, I have a brother that's 4 years older. We were at home watching TV. We played football and we played in the woods and we watched TV. Now, this is back when we had the little, you had like 5 channels. We had like 2, 5, 11, 17, 36, 46, and 60 and 69. Like that was the channels that we had here. We watched a lot of the Turner Broadcasting System here in Atlanta, TBS, WTBS. If the Braves weren't on, it was like old Andy Griffith and stuff like that. Munsters and the Addams Family. But then at night, overnight, they would show on TBS or channel 36 or 46. They would show like horror movies and older movies and stuff like that. And then on Sundays or Saturdays, we'd get like ABC Sunday Night at the Movies or whatever. And that was what there was to do, man. That's what we did. If we weren't helping out on the garden in my grandfather's fields and whatever, that's what we did. And when I got when there finally got to be a little mom and pop movie rental place down the street from it was well down the street. It was walking distance. It was a couple of mile or so from my great grandparents' farm, and we would walk down there and rent movies and come back. And I thought that was the greatest thing in the world. We'd rent movies and stay up all night watching them, and it was me and my brother, who's 4 years older, and a lot of times my uncle Harold, who's like 9 years older, so we were closer, like brothers. Then my cousin Lee would be there, and we'd watch movies. And it's really a big part of who I am. That's why I became a filmmaker, and there are a lot of movies that made me in a lot of different ways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into 2 categories, and we'll go through them pretty quick. But I got 9 movies that made me, like the big, like blockbuster movies that probably everybody for sure saw and probably had some effect on to some way or another if you're around my age. And then 9 movies that are a little bit different. I mean, some of them are still pretty popular maybe, but some of them just meant more things to me personally. And I'm going to cheat right off the bat and say there's another outside of this. There's an honorable mention for Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm saving that because I'm going to put that on another list. But Nightmare on Elm Street definitely made me. I was like 5 when I saw that movie the first time in like 1984 or whatever. And I mean, it scared the shit out of me because with Jason, if you wanted to avoid Jason, you just kept your ass out of Camp Crystal Lake. And, if you wanted to avoid Michael Myers, well, hell, I'm in Georgia and he was in, Illinois. So I was safe from them. But Freddy could get your ass if you just went to sleep. So that he scared me worse than anybody. And now I absolutely love Freddy. The Goonies, I mean, this is Richard Donner. This is Steven Spielberg. Chris Columbus worked on this movie. I mean, he wrote it. Like, the power of those three together to make a kids movie. And I mean, this is the great adventure. There's a little love, a little crush on the actress there, and Carrie Green, I think. I always forget her name. And then, you got Thanos in there, eventually Thanos, and Samwise Gamgee, and, all kinds of stuff. I love the Goonies. It is quintessential 80s. It's dripping with Spielberg and Richard Donner, and the adventure and the danger and the payoff at the end. The Goonies is, I knocked over my mic. I'm too excited. Is one of my all-time favorites. All right, next up is Die Hard. I've got to get better releases of some of these that are available. But I'm kind of at a point where and I'll get to this in another video, I am a firm believer of you either watch movies in 4K, the highest quality you can possibly get on the highest quality machine, or I watch them on the oldest version that I can get, VHS, a VCR, an old TV, maybe an old DVD, because that's the way I grew up watching them. There's something very filmic and nostalgic about the look of them when they're older, and then you have this great look of them being revitalized today. And anything in the middle, I'm kind of, That's why I tend to seek out 4Ks now over Blu-rays, but I will take a Blu-ray if nothing else is available. But I kind of leave the in-between quality alone and go for the old school or the new school, and I'll talk about more of that later. But Die Hard, Christmas movie. Yes, it is. Die Hard. I mean, it is a perfect action movie. It is absolutely perfect. You just have Bruce Willis. He's an everyman type of guy. Anybody could find himself in that situation, and he's just balls to the wall tough. You have a great villain. I mean, it is Hans Gruber. He's going down. And I mean, I love this movie. I absolutely love it. It has that feeling of the 80s in it, and a little Lethal Weapon, like that color treatment. Inside in the offices, if you go pay attention when they're in the office, it like the blinds are clearly like painted to look like a sunset outside. Who cares, man? It is dripping with 80s action. It is an awesome movie. Make my day. I love Die Hard. Next up, Jaws. I mean, I can't imagine if you grew up around my age that for anybody, Jaws didn't help make you. I mean, it helped make me not want to go in the water. And I mean, it taught me a lot about making films and what you need to show and not show. And I mean, it coined the term, really, it's what coined the term, popularized the term blockbuster. And it is a fantastic movie. I know Spielberg, he had so much trouble getting it made, but it was worth every damn second of it. It had a huge effect on me. I watch it every summer. It's part 1 and part 2 around the 4th of July. It's like a tradition. I watch it, and definitely one of the movies that made me. Next up is one that's really important and became even more important later to me, and that is The Karate Kid. I think this is the pop art steelbook there with my man Marty Cove. The Karate Kid, first of all, I was in love with Elizabeth Shue. I had a huge crush on Elizabeth Shue. Absolutely beautiful. Blonde hair, just absolutely gorgeous. I was always Cobra Kai. I mean, I really was. Like, I loved the wax on, wax off, and Daniel and Mr. Miyagi, who wouldn't want a Mr. Miyagi. But man, the Cobra Kai were just bad to the bone, 80s, like kick ass. And I love the Karate Kid. I love the Karate Kid today. It means a lot more to me. I have since become friends with Martin Kove, who played Sensei Kreese, and his son Jesse. They both starred in my last movie, Bring Me a Dream, and getting to spend hours, like I talked with Marty on the phone a lot, spending hours talking over another script I was writing and just talking about shows that we watch. He's a big fan of the show Vikings, and we all watched Penny Dreadful together when we were on set filming. He was a fan of that as well, and we enjoyed that. And Marty gave me a poster of from the original Karate Kid, an original one sheet 1984 poster, and signed it, and got Billy Zabka, who I got to hang out with, got him to sign it. And every time I see Marty, he gives me a photo from the set of something and writes me a cool message and things. So this movie means a lot to me, a whole lot. And Cobra Kai, extending it, I mean, it all means a world to me. All right, next up. I mean, how can this one not be on anybody's list? Star Wars. Actually, Empire Strikes Back is my favorite, but, you know, I saw this one first. So, Star Wars, I am a huge Harrison Ford fan. Harrison Ford is my favorite actor of all time. As a filmmaker, I have this belief that there are different levels. There's actors, and then there are movie stars, and then there are movie stars who are actors. So, like, you know, I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. He is one of, like, I have a whole video on my other channel about what Arnold Schwarzenegger means to me in so many ways. He has left a mark on my life in a lot of ways, but he is a movie star who can act, who acts. But he's a movie star. Then there are actors, like I think of Gary Oldman. He's an actor, just a pure craftsman when it comes to acting, but he's not necessarily just a movie star. And then there are actors like that who have that kind of range and ability, who are also movie stars and transcend. And that's Harrison Ford. And this is where I first became such a huge fan of Harrison Ford. He is friggin' Han Solo, Indiana Jones, and Blade Runner. It doesn't get any cooler than that. This movie spawned my whole, I mean, I am a huge Warsy to this day. I love everything Star Wars. I mean, I absolutely love it. This movie, you can't even begin to imagine the mark it made on me. All right, trying to move along a little faster. Might as well stick with it and go with Indiana Jones. Now, you notice it's The Last Crusade. I love the Raiders. I love the original Indiana Jones, of course, but this one is actually my favorite. First of all, I love their mission going to find the Holy Grail. I absolutely love that. I have a replica of that. And then how he gets to go back and forth with Sean Connery as his dad. This movie, I mean, I must have watched this movie 8 million times. Me and my dad watched it. Me and my brother, it transcended, because my dad was a huge Connery fan before he even knew who Indiana Jones was. And doesn't matter. Anybody in your family can enjoy this. And Indiana Jones, I probably watch all the Indiana Jones movies 2 or 3 times a year. I mean, I really do. This movie is huge for me. I have it on several different ways, but I have just got this Steelbook, and I have the Steelbook of Temple of Doom. I'm trying to find the Steelbook of Raiders of the Lost Ark. The next one up on the list is one that's still popular today, and I need some new ways. I need to upgrade my collection of this. Ghostbusters. I mean, Ghostbusters. Buzzing makes me feel good. 40 years after it came out, they are still making new Ghostbusters movies with the original cast. I mean, come on, get out of here. Like you're going to be hard pressed for anything today to ever have that kind of staying power, ever have that kind of cultural significance and effect, that the same actors are playing the same characters 40 years later in a movie that makes over $100 million at the box office, which I know that's not the greatest, but you know, I honestly think if they focused on those guys more, it would be even more successful. But you're going to find nothing today that has that kind of staying power. This movie, comedy, action, a little spooky, it's perfect. It's a perfect 80s comedy, horror, action. It is a perfect film, in my opinion. Next up, when you talk about perfect 80s films, Back to the Future. And, I mean, again, you have Spielberg, you have Robert Zemeckis. I mean, Spielberg was the king of the 80s, and it is absolutely awesome. It is like peanut butter for the soul when you watch this movie. It is absolutely 80s backwards, forwards, and sideways. It embraces what I think are the two most iconic decades in the history of the United States, and that's the 50s and the 80s. And I mean, I watch this movie all the time, like all the time. It had a huge effect on me. All right, last two of my favorite action stars coming right up. Arnold, I mentioned him earlier. Yes, this is the only copy I have of Predator. I need like some kind of fancy 4K collector's edition. I need some more Predator going on in my life. This movie is sci-fi horror, and don't let anybody tell you it's not a horror movie. It is a sci-fi horror movie. And I mean, the cast of this just, you know, friggin' just, you know, testosterone fueled. These guys, I've read Arnold's books, I've listened to his books. They were working out on set, trying to outdo each other, measuring their arms, you know, up at 4 o'clock in the morning, lifting weights, going to shoot all day. I mean, this movie is that handshake with him and Carl Weathers. Rest in peace. I love Carl Weathers. This movie, shit. This is one of my sons who just turned 13. This is one of his favorite movies now too. And, we watch it. I mean, I've probably watched this movie 3 or 4 times this year alone, and we're not even halfway through the year. And, I'll probably watch it 5 more times before the year is over. I never get tired of it. It is amazing. I love Arnold. He had a huge effect on me. Listen, this is how much of effect he had on me. I became a personal fitness trainer. After I quit playing college football, I became a personal fitness trainer. I got into powerlifting. I got into filmmaking. I made movies. And I got, believe it or not, a master's degree in political science. Like, I followed in Arnold's footsteps in a lot of ways. I don't look like Arnold. I don't have Arnold's money. But I love Arnold. He had an effect on me. Definitely helped make me. Now, the last one here is what I consider to be probably my favorite movie all time. If I had to pick one movie as my favorite all-time movie, and that is Rocky. Now, this is the only, like, I have this version on Blu-ray, and this is the 40th anniversary edition, and I have old DVD, and I think I have it on VHS, but I need a beautiful kind of fancy set, so y'all tell me which one to get. This is another one that had a big effect on me because Sylvester Stallone, he wanted to make this movie himself. He wrote this movie. He found a way to do it. He would not take no for an answer. I mean, they had to do a little bit of guerrilla filmmaking. If you don't know, the Teamsters were running things in Philadelphia, and a lot of those outside shots, they had to like get in a van and they would ride to a spot, jump out with the new Steadicam that they had, and they would film those shots running down the street and then jump back in the van and take off before they got in trouble because they didn't have any money and they couldn't pay everybody to do everything. But he found a way. I mean, he had to use his own dog. There's a whole story about all that stuff. He found a way, and it made him who he is. It's reflected in the movie, and I definitely took that to heart in my life, and just never give up. It's never too late. And being a writer and filmmaker myself, I have a lot of feelings towards this. Definitely helped make me who I am. All right, so that's the 9. Those are all kind of like bigger budget, big obvious ones. Now, I have 9 more. We're going to go through them a little faster, that are kind of a little bit different, but mean a ton to me. A little drink. All right, first up, I'm going to throw one at you that maybe you have not heard of. This one's overlooked a lot. This was a sex comedy from the 80s called Mischief. Now, again, I love vintage stuff. This takes place in the 50s, and all the cars and the scenery and the sock hops and just that whole vibe, the small town that it takes place in. You have a young Kelly Preston in this movie, and I mean, she was absolutely beautiful, and I remember being young. I think this came out when I was, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years old. And like I said, I had a little bit older brother, and we're watching this because like the rule in our house was we could watch pretty much anything, but if you were like begging to go sleep in your parents' room because you watched a movie that was too scary, or you were cursing or something like you saw in the movie, then you lost the right to get to watch those movies. You couldn't act like that. You couldn't repeat that behavior. You had to know there was a clear line between art and make-believe in the movies and how you act, behave, and live in your life. So, but we were watching this movie, and boom, there is Kelly Preston, completely naked, full frontal, which is something that, you don't see a lot. And it was like, wow, she is absolutely beautiful. So that definitely had an effect. And the movie's great. It has a great soundtrack to it. And it's just one of those great 80s sex comedy romps. And I absolutely enjoy this movie. We were hanging out at my house one night when we were filming a movie, and me and my friend Edward and Lance, they had never heard of this movie, and we watched it, and they were hysterical, laughing. They enjoyed this so much. So that is definitely another one of those movies like that. Another one, we might as well stay on this, the old sex comedy. Now, this one is very popular, but definitely made me. This is Revenge of the Nerds, and this movie, I was more like an alpha beta because I was already playing football as a little kid, but I still loved Revenge of the Nerds. And again, this movie definitely made me because it was the first time I ever saw a woman completely full frontal naked in a movie. Or full frontal. I think that might be the first time I ever saw a woman completely naked. So it definitely had an effect. I always liked Ogre, and I mean, I like the Alpha Betas too, but even though they were jerks, you can kind of make an argument now later on looking at it that the nerds are somewhat of the villains a little bit too. But it definitely had a big effect on me for a lot of reasons. Another great 80s sex comedy like that. Next one up was definitely a kind of a big movie, but how can Roadhouse, if you're an 80s kid, how can Roadhouse not have an effect on you? This movie is just perfect 80s guilty pleasure movie. It has great dialogue, believe it or not. I think it has great dialogue in it. It has great action. The funny thing is, Sam Elliott, like I'm 44 years old. Sam Elliott was only like 45 or 46 when this movie came out, and he was supposed to be the old crotchety old man that was having to retire. So that's surreal. But this is an amazing movie. I love it. I never get tired. I must have watched this with my dad was that old movies for guys that like movies guy. And we probably watched this 100 times together, and I really love it. And I need some kind of other fancy is this in 4K? I got to get back out here and start checking. I haven't collected in a while, but here we go. That movie had a big effect. I absolutely love it. Marshall Teague, great until he gets his throat ripped out. Love him too. He's great interaction on Twitter. He's a good follow, and just a lot of fun. All right, moving a little quicker. This one's another one it is definitely a big movie, but it's another Stallone, Rambo, First Blood. You know, a lot of people think, I mean, this movie definitely has action, but this is really a drama movie. And the way he portrays a soldier with PTSD, but one that's just a trained killing machine that has like fighting it in his mind is amazing. And the scene at the end of this where he's breaking down in the police station might be one of the best acting jobs I've ever seen. Like, I mean, it is intense. Where he's crying, you don't have your leg. Like, I mean, it's something. It is something. This movie had a huge effect on me, and of course spawned tons of sequels and a huge franchise. I love Stallone. Great movie. This one, I was never a huge Western guy, but Young Guns is badass. And Young Guns had such an effect on me. There is a scene where they're high on peyote and they're riding through an Indian reservation. And I think it's Charlie. He says, "Hey, Chavez, how come they ain't killing us?" And I think Dirty Steve says, "It's because we're in the spirit world, asshole. They can't see us." Well, that resonated with me for so long. I laughed my ass off even as a little kid. That resonated with me so long that when I started my production company, when I started making films, and yes, they were horror, so everybody thought it had something to do with horror, I named my company Spirit World Productions because we're in the spirit world, asshole. They can't see us. It actually had such an effect on me. It came from this movie, had that big of an effect. I absolutely love this movie. Great movie. Why? Actually, we just watched this a couple of weeks ago. Watched 1 and 2. 2 has a great soundtrack. Bon Jovi, basically some of his biggest songs ever he wrote for that movie. All right, going quick. I know it's getting long. All right, Trading Places. Now, I'm a huge Eddie Murphy fan, so it was hard to pick which movie had the biggest effect on me because I absolutely love Beverly Hills Cop, and Coming to America is one of my all-time favorite films. But this movie, like, I watched with my other uncle who passed away and when I was still younger too, and it just had on my Uncle Freddie, it just had a huge effect on me. You saw Jamie Lee Curtis. She was always the, final girl, scream queen, virginal, all this kind of stuff. And then you saw her play a hooker and you saw her topless. And Dan Aykroyd is at the height of his abilities. Eddie Murphy he's right there about to launch off, and you can see it all. It's all in here. Randolph and Mortimer Duke are great villains. I mean, I love this movie. This movie never gets old. I kind of tend to watch it around Christmas because it takes place at Christmas. And I absolutely love it. Trading Places, you cannot go wrong. Great film. All right. Another one that I watch around Christmas, and then I'm going to drop two that you're not even thinking of on you. Anybody that in my family will tell you that Christmas Vacation, I get called Clark Griswold in my family because I just want everybody to have fun, have a good time, and try so hard and everything else. I probably watch Christmas Vacation. I start watching it the week of Thanksgiving, and I probably watch it 20 times by the time Christmas gets here, and I never get tired of it. It is like Clark Griswold. I love all the vacation movies. This one's my favorite. The original. I even love European Vacation. Jason Lively from that movie is awesome. Dude. He's another great follow. And this movie absolutely helped make me. I do a whole Christmas Vacation tree at Christmas time because I have all these Christmas Vacation ornaments. I love Chevy Chase. I love Clark Griswold. This is my favorite vacation movie. We're going to press on and have the happiest list since, All right, the final two, and maybe the more obscure of the two. First up is Space Camp. Now, this is another 80s, adventure type movie. And it's about if you've never seen it, it's about these kids that go to space camp, and they're supposed to go and get to sit in a real spaceship, and they get to feel like the engines turn on and everything else. But there is a malfunction caused by a AI type robot for one of the kids that's quote unquote friends with a very young Joaquin Phoenix, and he actually sends them into space. There's a catastrophe in it, and they have to launch or it'll blow up. So they go into space. And again, this has Kelly Preston. This has Kate Capshaw from Indiana Jones, Mrs. Spielberg. It has Tom Skerritt. It has Leah Thompson. This is throwing a cast, and like I said, a young Joaquin Phoenix, who's like the youngest one there. It is loaded down with 80s talent, and is just a great adventure movie. It used to kind of scare me and excite me. I absolutely love this movie. If you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. I need to find another. This is actually from a VHS Preservation Society where they scanned a VHS tape onto a DVD video, and I need to find. And the same thing with my next film. I need to find the coolest way that I can upgrade this. All right, final one. Movies that made me. My Science Project. This one, it might be off the beaten path. This has Dennis Hopper in it, and this movie, and John Stockwell's in this film. This is about a kid that he ends up with a science project that breaks down space time, and their school basically gets transformed. They're walking through part of it, and there's dinosaurs, and then there's Genghis Khan and stuff like that, and it's just an epic little adventure. It's a little scary. I absolutely I watched this. My dad too. This was one of those movies me and him watched over and over again. And, my dad would love, he just passed away a few years ago, and he would love all these boutique Vinegar Syndrome, Arrow, all this stuff that are bringing all these old movies back to watch, because he would always be like, damn, what happened to that movie? I can't find that movie anymore. You can't watch it anywhere. Everything, Netflix sucks. That's just what he would be. He would be he would love this renaissance in these boutique agencies or providers with the new DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that. He would absolutely love it. We watched this movie a lot. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It is definitely worth a watch. Had a big effect on me. I love sci-fi, I love horror, action, 80s movies. I love it all. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. Sorry it went on so long, but I could not cut it down any shorter. I had to go through it like that, and I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments, and the Rad Pack, appreciate you guys doing this, and appreciate all of you out there for welcoming me and my channel into this community. I'm so excited, and I hope you get a lot from me. We'll do a lot more things where I incorporate talking to actors that I've worked with and talking about how that relates to movies and what I like, and tons of unboxing and curating my collection. All of it. It's all here, and I hope you'll stay here for it. Like and subscribe, and hang out and hang around, and let's do some pop culture stuff. But until next time, this is Chase with AVA Pop Culture saying have a great spooky day. Let me know your top 9, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. I know.